There we go.
There you go. Yep, you got to know.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm here with my friends Dan and Dean, and we decided we would have a conversation tonight about how our hobby is changing. But first, welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure, Ontario. Thank you. Thanks for the time to chat. It's just good to chat with you guys. Maybe not so much Dean, but it's a good time.
I was gonna say, I feel like this is a normal phone call for
This
us.
is a normal phone. Okay.
Recorded
We
phone call.
do talk a lot, probably a couple times a week minimum. Just
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we've
that's right.
always kind of said
Yeah,
we should just record this because
Yeah, we
it's just
should do that
better.
sometime.
we're doing it right now.
Well, we are. Yeah,
That's
that's
pretty much
exactly
it.
right. That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Thank everyone who's watching also for being here and putting up with us for a little while. And so, how is the hobby changing, guys? What are some of the things you've noticed?
Well, I think it's really how has it kind of evolved.
Right,
I remember, for me, it was not much. I started very briefly in coins, but, around 2000. And, when eBay didn't have currency, they only had coins.
right.
hmm
So you either had shows or you had your local coin dealer that,
Yes, right.
didn't have a lot of currency, which at the time, I was converting young kids, blah, blah, blah. But I think eBay's probably had to be the single biggest changer.
Right. So,
yeah,
going from books and magazines and, with the internet coming up, and really we've moved beyond websites now to apps, with
yeah,
things right at our fingertips.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's weird. Well, Dean, I don't know. I'm talking over you. So
No, I think you're right on. I think if you were looking at the last 10 years or 15 years,
Yeah.
I think you're right. The dominance of eBay, the online auctions, and now it's kind of changing that social media and online auctions kind of come together in different platforms, especially with something like Whatnot or eBay Live, in which you have a seller or well, I would say a seller who has a bunch of followers, and those followers get on sometimes daily to do auctions. So I
Right.
think 10 years ago we didn't have that.
No,
Um, you know,
no.
and I think some of the at least from the pandemic, I've seen that there's more emphasis on the worth of items rather than what it is.
And
I don't,
collecting.
I don't, I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but that's just I kind of feel like that's kind of more. At least that's what I've been coming across with a lot of the people who are in the hobby now. I don't know if that is true. That's just my experience, I
Right,
guess. But
right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
well,
10, 15 years ago, you had more people at shows, for example, that were collectors.
hmm
Whereas now, not that there aren't collectors there, because there
right,
are, but I think that there's a larger percentage, or there seems to be a growing percentage, maybe put it that way, of
that's
yeah,
a
people
good,
who
yeah,
go there to buy to resell.
oh
yeah,
yeah, the flippers, yeah,
the
yeah,
flippers, pocket.
yeah,
We called them best pocket dealers back in the day.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Um, but it's for me, the involvement has been regarding information, and I'm going to be an old guy here, a big shocker. But eh, it's like people don't care about information,
Hmm.
hmm
yet they want it. They just don't want to. No offense to anybody out there, I'm just calling a spade what a spade is. You don't want to go dig it out. You don't want to go find it. You don't want to go read about it. There's many people that do, and I think some of the old schoolers, like our category, we fall into. And Gene, you know, we're each a three different generations here, overlapping maybe, but
Yeah.
there
yeah,
there seems to be less emphasis on getting the book, and that's okay. Books are expensive. I get it.
yeah,
And that's where, for a while, websites in the early 2000s became the information age. I remember having many websites bookmarked for just information
yeah.
uh,
Right.
from
Yeah, but I
that.
think I think yeah, to your point, there's that increasing emphasis on market price rather than the historical context or the numismatic significance of an item, which you would find, as you say, in a book. So rather than buying the book about the coin or about the piece of currency, you're buying the book that has the price of said currency or whatever it is,
Right.
which I think is kind of too bad. But again, that's just my humble opinion.
Well, is it any coincidence that this is, as what we're talking about as far as what's changed where you buy, that at the same time grading has become, getting something slabbed has become almost standard now?
Yes.
That has progressed
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
probably an equal share
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
how, you don't care. And
Right.
I get it. I mean, I still think you should be able to buy, I don't know, 15 years ago, I would have said, yes, I'm going to go pick up that $2, which I did.
Well, I was going to say you did. Same
I,
with your bison, right? You bought your
yeah, I
bison
bought
raw.
my bison raw.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought a lot of notes raw, which I wouldn't do today. One, because you can find them graded. I don't
Right.
need to go through that. But when you're spending, and I kind of use the rule of thumb, $200 to $300,
Right.
Mhm.
it really needs to be in a holder for you to buy it, and that costs more money. Is that influencing the cost of we all talk about that, but we're not going there yet. It's really about what's changed. So eBay obviously was huge, the
Huge.
biggest game changer,
Yeah.
Huge. Yes.
and
Yeah.
still is today. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I
Well,
would ask what you guys think of eBay pricing today.
well, yeah, pricing is one. I was just going to say that also with the online auction houses, which is just
Yeah.
another form of eBay, but Heritage, Stack's, Bowers, Great Collections, all that moving online. You used to have to be on the phone, or
Yes,
you had to mail something in or something silly like that, and now it's all instant.
Yeah.
as
Yep.
well it should be. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
Right.
should be in today. In today, I guess what I mean is that opens up a level of currency and coins or any collectible really to more people.
Right.
Because at one time, if you weren't in a particular group or a particular clique, you didn't necessarily get to bid on something.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm hearing you say, Dan, and you guys have been in the game, I guess, longer than I have. I really kind of got into coins and currency in 2011. But I just feel like there is kind of like a growing tension, if you will, between the buyer and seller, especially on platforms like eBay, because there's almost a skepticism around pricing, if you will,
Mhm.
like that the buyer feels like they're almost being overcharged for items, or that sellers are just putting whatever price without a thought. They're just putting a high price on items. And I think for some sellers, they are doing that. And then for others, I
Yes.
think they're just trying to cover their costs. And then, others are trying their best to have a good variety of buy it now and auction items. But it is hard because if you're auctioning everything, you know, I don't know if there's enough buyers out there to be there for that auction to actually have the item go for what it really should be going for, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
but at the same time, you don't see very many results. I mean, the eBay
Yeah.
auctions are definitely a lot less than they used
Yeah.
to be as far as
Yeah.
percentage wise. But at the same time, I mean, I mean, Dean, I know you watch your eBay costs and you are very cognizant of that, and you price what you sell on eBay competitively, fairly, market wise, what it should price at.
Hmm.
But I'm sorry, it's in the minority. I mean, I find notes. I just found, I wanted to I found a national bank note, date
Yeah.
back, $5
Yep.
date back that I wanted. And
Right.
it's a 10, it's a beat up note, but it's like, I don't care. Okay, I'm filling that slot. The brown back is really the main star of that little portion of that collection. But I finally found reasonably priced note. And I think, like, do you guys surf eBay? I mean,
Oh yeah, all the
yeah.
time.
all the time,
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
I
time.
mean, I'm not
yeah.
going Stu Plubeck on it and going
I don't
24 hours
know.
a day, but
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think
I
I got
appreciate
200 in
that
my
too.
watch list right now.
But I
Oh my
mean,
goodness.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but it's any note that I'm looking for, it's insane pricing. It's
Yes.
insane.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, prices
And
have gone up. Yes.
well, not that, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, yes, they have. I mean, this is I think this started with 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And
I meant pricing on eBay has
yeah,
definitely accelerated. Yes, you're right. I meant
and
that. Mm.
yeah, that and I agree. But here's the thing that I'm sorry, I just don't want to hear it from dealers. Well, I got this cost and this cost. Yep, you
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Don't get the fuck out of the game. Sorry, this I get pissed off very
Yeah.
quickly. Sorry, I shouldn't
Yeah.
have done that. I'm not on my channel.
Right.
But it upsets me that much. Get out of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Right.
If you can't price it competitively, and if you're fishing for all your notes, waiting for
Right.
the sucker to come up and bite, and shame on us for being the suckers that do, because they do it for a reason.
Well,
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, and you have to educate yourself. And
Yes.
to avoid that, I also think eBay is feeling some competition from
yeah.
platforms like Facebook and Instagram, people selling
Oh
on
yeah.
there. Um,
Yeah.
because, and I don't blame them, because if you can sell and can do that, you can
Yeah.
save a lot of cost
Absolutely.
doing
There
it.
is more risk involved, but yes,
Yes,
you're right.
Risk for the
You can save
dealer,
a lot
risk for the buyer.
of costs for both. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It really is.
I mean,
Um,
I mean, if you require an electronic payment, what's the risk from the seller? You got your money, I'll send you the note.
but
what's the risk for the seller, or what's the
Yeah.
risk for
If you
the
take, if you,
seller is if you you can actually, if you do, I don't know about Venmo, but with PayPal you can actually
oh,
open up a
yeah, you
case
pay.
through PayPal. I don't know about Venmo though. I don't know. I'm assuming you could. I
It's
don't
got
know
to be
why
the
you wouldn't.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's
So it
true.
really is a risk for both buyer and seller. But I think that goes back to that kind of old school way of developing the relationship with the dealer. The dealer developing the relationship with the customer, and I think that still happens, just not in the same way. And eBay is kind of a hard place for that to happen, if that makes sense.
It doesn't.
Um, well, it's like it's weird. Like I have 71 followers that follow me on eBay,
uh-huh.
and I have get some nice comments. And then I did show that card I got, which was phenomenal.
Right,
But I'm not a dealer. I'm just a guy.
right.
But some of the other dealers, like you said, yeah, when they're out of whack costs, you see it's reflected in their feedback. They have some negatives and they have some neutrals too. But yeah, it seems almost impersonal, and that's why I think things like the live on eBay, where you can actually have that interaction in the moment, or like Dean with Whatnot,
Yeah,
where he has a group of people that he's interacting with, and you can get to know him and you can get to trust him.
He's
You
building a
know,
community. I mean,
exactly
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I think about that? I just thought about this right now. That's almost a Facebook, except it's live. I mean, a
yeah,
Facebook group, except
yep,
it's live.
yep,
well, with
That's
the
a good.
here's I was thinking about this, getting ready to talk about this topic and the alternative ways to purchase outside of
hmm
eBay, outside of dealers shows, and my standards. I guess I have quit looking on Facebook and Instagram, because by the time I can get there, it's gone.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
And
true,
and,
true.
and
yep,
it's so random, and it's like, how do I find out? I'm looking for an 1896 XYZ,
hmm
whatever I'm looking for. How do
yeah,
I do that on Facebook?
right,
You saying I got to scroll through everybody that I follow and go to this, and oh, they got, oh,
pretty
it's
much.
already gone.
Pretty much,
That's
or
like
you don't get
going
a response. That's the other
Mhm.
thing.
right.
Yeah,
And I'll credit the folks that are doing a good job on that do give
yeah,
you that. But yeah, Dean. And
yeah,
so I'm like, well, it's kind of like getting in my car and driving to a dealer and hoping
Right.
that they have it. And to say to money shows, there's no guarantee that they have what you're looking for if you're looking for that one note.
True, true.
There's no guarantee. It's just you're betting on that's a higher percentage that they will, especially larger shows.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been turned off to Instagram and Facebook, is I finally see it and it's a day old post and it's long gone.
Yeah, that's almost a something I think where you have to develop relationships with people
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
they just contact you. Like if they know you're looking for that particular note, Dan, they would just direct, message you and first, before they put it out there, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
that's not easy to
I
do.
think they put it out there first, and then if it doesn't sell, I mean
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's the way
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going to
That's
charge me more
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
front before they put it out there.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're right because I typically do that with my eBay. I put everything up, buy it now first. After 30 to 40 days being up at a buy it now price, then I just put it up for auction because clearly what I thought was a fair price is not. So then it just goes to auction. Like tonight, I got I think 3 or 4 auctions ending because they had just sat for so long. So I said, all right, well, we'll let the market decide what the price actually is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think all of this leads into my next thought, and that is I think people collect differently now.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go there,
Yeah.
before you go there, you say market wise, and I think that's what I'm enjoying the most.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, no guarantee I'm going to get it or it's going to be on auction. Is the great collections, is the heritage to a
Yes.
certain extent. Stacks is just so infrequent,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
well as the other one that we tried to watch on a live that was, what
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a fiasco, but it worked. It did work.
It
Yeah.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's to me, it's like there's your market value. And if
Mhm.
anybody
Yeah.
takes
Yep.
one thing from my babble tonight,
Mm-hmm.
is that if you think paying the premium at auction is wrong, you are paying too much. And
Yep.
I know that it's so bizarre, but go look at eBay, go to a show, go to a dealer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you have time to study, and that's the whole thing about this. This is
Yeah.
what I'm not there with Whatnot on notes that start to get up in value, literally $200 or more. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna hey, here it is. Here it is, guys.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
it.
but this is a good point because I
Great
think
note. What a
this
great
is
note. And I
this
got
is
freaking
the
Led Zeppelin pounded me in the background with some jackass dealer.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Just,
Gonna ask-
that's not fun for me.
No. No.
Sorry.
right, but I think that's a good point though because I think that's the deliberate or I mean the shift from deliberate buying to impulse buying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think for the three of us, we're more of we're going to research the item, we're going to look at
Right.
the auction results from different places. We're going to be very deliberate in the item that we're buying, rather than hopping on to a live auction on eBay or a Whatnot auction and being like, oh, I only have so much time to, I really like that. I don't know if that's the good price, but I'm going to just make the impulse purchase.
Right.
And I think that's just two different types of buyers, and we're definitely not that.
No.
But I think a lot of people are that today.
Yes.
Because it seems like both those styles of auctions are definitely growing in popularity. But
Well,
again, that's just what I think. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems that way.
Well, I mean, you get somebody like Andy, right, from
Yeah.
Andy's Notes and Kearney Coin Center. Sorry, Andy. Yeah, he'll tell you straight out. It's the fastest growing segment of
Yeah.
where to sell in the business right now.
Right.
And we all know that, this is what's so funny. Well, if you see it on eBay, but if the dealer has a website, you can save $5.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And they do. And so, I think all of us have our favorite, if we do follow or have our favorite eBay sellers, we have their websites that we check
Right.
it out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm like, you know what? If you're saying I'm not going to pay the premium, and that you're not, if you're buying on eBay,
yeah.
You're not thinking it through.
Well, no, but like to your point though, if you're not willing to pay the premium on a heritage or a great collections, the buyer's premium, or the premium cost that somebody ups, makes their item a little bit higher on eBay. I don't know how that's any different from paying the premium for a hyped auction that's in a style like Whatnot, in which you're just making a rash decision in the moment in kind of a, almost an influencer, a TikTok influencer style program, like you were saying,
used car salesman
used
style.
cars. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right now, I've only got 2 left. It's like, ooh, hey, we got a giveaway coming up. Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna give me the Ike dollar. Wow, that's great. And
But yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
and I get it, and it's like I don't blame the sellers for doing
No.
and playing the game because
If that's what people want,
they're
Right.
stupid.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're being stupid. I'm just saying.
yeah.
I'm not saying buy it. I'm just like, I'm not saying not to buy it. Get as many Red Seal 2s as you want, but at least get it where you're paying it right. And this is what I see on Whatnot. I've watched a couple Whatnots over the last week in preparation for this subject, going,
Yeah.
all right, what are $2 bills? What's a $2 bill that I can go into a local coin shop and buy for $5 max?
Right.
It's a VF20
You
19.
can buy a strap of $2 bills for like next to nothing. Really?
Right.
No,
Right.
really.
Like, so they're buying them for $7, $8, $9, $10 and then paying $3.99 shipping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I get it. It's the impulse. We all want that
Yeah.
dopamine hit.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's a good point too, Dan. What you just said too is the chemistry of the buying. You're right.
On eBay. Hey, go to eBay. You will find better pricing on eBay. And by the way, you'll be able to actually see the note most of the time.
Yeah.
And it won't be, hey, here it is. Isn't this great? And could they spend?
And to be fair, that is one extreme, or that seems to be one style of selling. On Ontario and I were watching one the other day of a guy that's local to my area. And what did he spend like about an hour? Was it about an hour, Ontario, just talking to the people as they were coming into the auction?
I'll be honest with you, I left. He hadn't sold anything while I was there, and I was there about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So he was just talking to people, showing them what he was going to be selling, but he actually didn't get to the auction till much later. And I don't know if that's another type of style of trying to get to know your sellers, or if it's like a stall tactic to get as many people into the auction for buyers. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But either way, it was good.
I will say this. I will say this because I don't want it to sound like we're bashing.
We're bashing.
No, it's its own thing.
I don't mean it that way because I've certainly watched some Whatnot auctions that were calm and they showed the notes very slowly. They scribed the note. They answered questions from the chat. They were very accommodating. They were not pushy at all.
And that's
so
our friend.
That does exist.
That's our friend Blue Oval Pro, Dean Bartosh.
Yeah.
He is much slower pace.
Yes.
And again, but I'm sorry, I still, I was on an auction and I bought something from, I think I told you guys this, and all of a sudden up pops like a high grade 63 or 64, $2 1953 graded. And I'm like, well, that's better than mine. And looking at the price, I'm like, I think he wished he didn't put it up, to be honest, because it's sitting there and it's on the clock. And I'm like, I'm buying it.
Right.
And I actually put one more bid just to make it higher. By the way, be careful on Whatnot.
You can bid against yourself?
Oh, you can bid against yourself. You sure can.
I didn't know that.
I did
not know that. That's great.
Because I'm just like, he's offering a great product, a great note. I don't really need to see the note in that format. And that's the other thing. You're getting the YouTube short format on your screen. That's another thing that drives me crazy.
Right.
But I buy what you want, when you want, where you want. Right. I think while it comes down to Ontario, we're not bashing. I think it's good that new collectors are coming in. It's just like, you may be paying too much. And, and if that's okay with you, great. That is okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely have to do your math. And to something you said a moment ago, you were talking about people who did not want to go to the auction houses because of the premiums.
Right.
You have to do the math and know when you bid $1,000, you're going to pay $1,200. I mean, you have to know that.
Right.
They say it right on the screen.
Yeah, you have to pay attention.
Tell you.
So
Yeah.
if you only want to pay 1,000, then you got to bid closer to 800 and stop.
Yeah, but I mean, at least with Heritage that I know right off, Heritage, it's right there. It's like, okay, the bid
Oh
is
yes,
800 and the final price is going to be
yes,
$1,022, whatever,
right.
because
Yeah.
of their weird percentage. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
Yeah. And
so
Great Collections is the same way too,
yeah,
which is
they
nice.
tell
they
Yeah.
you
are. They are.
what,
Yeah.
They tell you
so
right there.
but the thing with that is that if you're afraid going back to auctions, if you're afraid of that premium and you don't think it's worth the value, I could, if you give me like just the next Heritage auction next Tuesday or Great Collections auctions, I guarantee you I could just take 3 or 4 examples from that one auction of US large size currency and see what it's sold for, and then compare it against what it's selling for buy it now on eBay at that
Yes.
exact
Oh
moment.
yes,
Yeah.
I will
absolutely.
guarantee you, I will have not have all 4 notes that I choose. eBay will be 20% higher minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
And
be
that's with premium folks. And this is why I don't
right,
understand.
right.
Give auctions a chance. I know they can be
Yeah.
scary. I was nervous about it. But once you get it really it's a great place, especially to buy $200 to $300 or more
Right,
notes. Because
right,
that's what you see. eBay is actually really good for notes under $200 for the most part.
right,
Yes, for the most
right,
part. Yeah.
For
right.
the most part. I would credit eBay, and this is again my main thing is I don't want anybody buying something and then going to the local coin shop and you get the prick dealer that I deal with and
Right.
at that show that's like, I won't take credit card. And he laughs at you. He's like, no way, go spend it
Yeah.
at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right.
It's value. So anyways, all right. Sorry.
Well, the
Yeah.
other thing I was going to go into for a moment is I think people today, and again, not a criticism, just an observation. I think, as boomers, we sort of like to hoard everything. And I think younger people are just not that way, and that's probably a good thing. Uh, they seem to collect, kind of what's cool and what catches their eye, and one will do. They don't seem to, the
That's where
problem. Go ahead.
you expand on that in your notes.
Well, I was just going to say that the example I wrote down was
Yeah.
when it comes to 1882 Nationals, for
Right.
example. Um, you know, one will do. They don't feel like they need to get a brown back and a date back and a value back and
Right.
all of that. They just get one. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing that. That's fine. But that is a different group of collectors coming along. That will affect the market over time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still
I actually wrote that in my notes, the decline in attention to nuance and craftsmanship. Because I think if if you just buy the one national, it's fine. You can do that.
Fine. Yeah.
But it's I think if you really get into nationals and you really start understanding, like you said, the different types, I think you it could lead to specialization and it could lead to a really great collection.
Yes.
But I agree with you. I think that's a lot of new collectors today are just not into that. Like you said, from past generations. I could be wrong though, but that's
And
just
I
again an observation.
Right. And I got like it's the idea is listening to everybody and type collectors. I think everybody's a type collector of some sort,
Yes.
but whether you get out from something else. But I mean, it's like, I got the idea from Tyler with these notes. I still got them laying on my desk from yesterday. With
Yep.
the FRNs, there's red seals and blue seals. Red seals, there's no way I can ever afford that. I'll just get one. I'll just get one out of that. And that follows up on what you're saying, Dean,
Yeah.
is that for me my type collection for large size fives is I have the brown back and the original or 1875. I don't care if it's value back or 1882. Well, sorry, there's 3 different notes. There's the original
Right.
1875. I don't need to have both. One is good enough. Then you've got the 1882 $5 brown back. Then you've got the 1882 and it's now a greenback as a blue seal, and it's a value back or date back. And the value backs are extremely expensive. They're very rare. They didn't make them very long.
Yes.
I still think you need the original. I still think you need the brown back. I still think you need the greenback. You're done. that you
Yep.
don't need to have the other one. But if you want to, great.
Right.
Yeah.
And you get into the seal variations, on the
Yeah.
1880s silver certificates and legal tender notes.
Yeah.
Do what you
Yeah, but
want.
I think you're right. Those like almost like those subtleties that once really defined, that advanced collecting is just not there anymore, and it's like almost overlooked.
Yeah.
Um, and,
Yeah.
and and I don't know if that's I hope that doesn't sound like a criticism because it's really not. It's just like I don't know if it's just a lack of interest or if it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning that there seems to be that emphasis on what is it worth rather than what is it.
Yeah.
And
I
again, that's
agree.
just an observation, and I could be wrong on that,
Well,
but it just seems like there is a lot more of that prioritizing, the short term pricing of something.
It's slapping
If
great price, great in price, great in
yeah,
price. That's all I
yeah,
absolutely.
care.
and basically, I'm not going to hold this for the next 20 years in my collection. I'm going to buy it hopefully as low as possible, know what it's worth, and then in a year or two flip it, or less than that.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if you're a collector at that point. I think maybe you're more in the line of an investor or something. They call them. There's a lot of people out there that call themselves dealers. I am not a dealer. I don't even know if I'd call myself a vest pocket dealer. I just like to upgrade, and I like to, um, you know, uh,
Well, all three of us are
sell in order to
curating.
buy. Yeah,
Yeah, all three
exactly.
of us are
That's it.
Yeah,
curating now at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah.
And so we're a lot
And
of
I
our
have,
collection.
yeah, and I've sold a lot, but I would never class myself as a dealer or a vest pocket dealer, really. But anyway, yeah.
That's the
Like that
same.
gentleman you talked to at the show, Dan. Sorry, Ontario, I cut you
Yeah,
off, but
yeah,
like he's a collector. I see myself doing that in retirement, like exactly what
right.
he's doing. I think that's just cool. Show up, have your collection. If people want to buy something, have the conversation and sell it. Anyway,
Well, and you
sorry.
talk about the technicalities or the nuances of the note is a better.
Yeah,
Ontario, you know more about, I think, the 1880 legal tenders, um, and the seal variations and the different types.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's where it's like I think that is what it's lost to me. I don't care,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I may recognize and say, yeah, I'll add it later, maybe the flower overprint on the 1 and the 2 and the 5, maybe, but I want to fill everything else
Now
first.
yeah,
here's the difference. Knowing about it's one thing, but actually purchasing all of them is another. I'm not really interested in purchasing all of them.
Well,
So
and
right,
here's the
that's
difference.
the other thing.
right.
Can you? I mean, how many of us? I mean, I still think 70% of currency collectors, the average collector is stretching at $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And those notes are not going to be available. And even if they are, they're rare, they're
yeah,
Yeah.
scarce.
They're getting hard to find. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Not to plug the other channel, but I
No, it's
we're
okay.
all we're all good friends with retired Navy Rob. You were
Absolutely.
just on retired Navy Rob's channel, and I love the fact you were talking about the different stamps on obsoletes
Yeah.
and how you can collect them, and that in a way you are collecting them,
Yeah, I am.
which is so cool.
A little.
But again, it doesn't really add value,
No.
maybe to some collectors, but not really. And that to me is really collecting. That I guess what I'm saying is that's really numismatic
Yeah.
attention. You're discovering what the process was of well, decommissioning is the wrong word. What do you call it? Canceling the note,
Canceling, yeah.
canceling the note.
Paying
Yeah,
out through insolvencies and that kind of thing.
I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah,
I'm never going to call myself, I'm a numismatist. One, because the term's so stupid and
yeah.
so snotty and put up a wall and make it so people don't want to be in your little club.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you're more than just a collector, Dan. I know the term is a little weird or old school, but you're more than a collector.
I get that, but yeah, I mean, and like I was having a conversation with Andy talking about, what is a type collection? Because that's our next currency use. Sorry to plug me on your channel,
Oh,
Ontario,
yeah.
but
Go ahead.
I'm a narcissist.
Go ahead.
Um, But he's like, we get to this and he's like, yeah, I agree with it. We're kind of fighting it, not fighting it. I'm having a good discussion. And we get to the 1899 silver certificate. He's like, well, the series date is to the left, right, or this moved on this plate. You got to have that. You got to have that variation. And I'm like, that's where you help me, Dean.
Yeah.
We're going to insert the word variety.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the
Right.
type, and types may have varieties that you may or may not want to have.
Yeah.
But you still got to have an 1899 Black Eagle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You got to have
Yes.
that note. Whatever one you want to collect 5 different ones of them, that's up to you.
Sure.
Right.
That's your
Yeah.
budget, not mine.
Yeah.
I could say you're smoking crack, but
Yeah.
I also want to see the note because it's super cool, right?
Yeah.
I'll
Right.
be the first one to say, let me see it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what do you guys see? And I think we touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to go back over it a little bit more and the effects of changes on the actual shows. And let me say what I'm getting at here.
oh,
I actually saw for the first time a whatnot dealer, and we're not picking on whatnot. I won't say that again, but I actually saw a whatnot dealer at a small show. I mean, there were like
Yeah.
35 dealers there, but he bought a table and he was online selling, buying on the floor coins and currency and selling them at that show.
Yeah.
And I know you've seen that, Dean, because we've talked about it.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to do this video with you because in the spring show, my local show, there was only one guy doing that, and he was back again this spring. But there was another guy, and he had even more of an elaborate setup. And it was really funny because the dealer next to him was really annoyed and did not like it. But it was funny. But so right there at that show, there was two dealers or whatnot dealers who purchased tables and set up to do whatnot live right there during the show, which was cool to see. And then I think I told you too, when I was in line waiting to go into the show, there was two other whatnot dealers who were there just to buy for their whatnot.
Right.
But they recognized each other as from whatnot, which I just thought was funny, and they started talking. So yeah, I think there definitely is that change, and I don't know if I can't really say if that's negative or positive. I think it's just a different direction.
It's
just a
just
different
different.
direction.
I think it also is affecting the price of everything. If you have more
Yes.
people like that buying up the inventory, which is fine, nothing wrong
Yep.
with that's free country. But
Yep.
I think it ultimately does start to affect the price of these collectibles. Do you agree with
Yes.
that or not?
they're buying up inventory. There's a lot of entry level notes, which is a good thing.
Right.
I like to see they're buying in the whatnot guys that I'm kind of following.
Right.
I'm seeing them bring out, yeah, it's an 8 Black Eagle. I'm not picking on the Black Eagle.
No.
They're low grade, large size, good collectible notes. They're great entry level notes. And to have that exposure,
Right.
and have somebody talk about it, that gives that familiarity. And that's I think the advantage with whatnot. Over eBay. You talk that sterile environment of computer and
It is.
Right.
I'm buying this and buying that. But
Yeah. Well, and even when you click that buy it now on eBay, very rarely does the seller, write to you and say, "Hey, I'm going to put this in the mail tomorrow," or even write you like when I sell something, I always write a handwritten note on the packing slip. And I do that because I want people to know that I am a human being. I'm not just some sort of robot selling whatever. Because I think you're right, Dan. It can be very sterile and very cold when you buy stuff.
This is the difference between me and Dean, probably Ontario too. These are nice guys. You sign it. Thanks, Dean. Thanks. I appreciate it. I don't care. It goes into it's coming out of the box.
I think most people, yes.
And I'm like, and I get it. I look for it as, did you ship it quickly? Is it packaged well? And that's good enough for me, but I'm barely a human being, so I get it.
Well, I would say one thing, folks. Please start leaving feedback again on eBay because
who doesn't do that? I do it.
No one does, but I do. I leave it on everything.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm of the old school.
I still get a lot of feedback, but now eBay is doing the automated feedback. So if somebody does not leave feedback, then you get automated feedback that says there was no issues. It technically doesn't count, but anyway, for the sale, it will, in the sense that somebody can see that, you sold something and there was no issues.
I mean,
But anyway,
for being a bad person, and I'm old school, Dean, we touched on this a lot. I always give feedback. Always, always, always.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you should.
Dean's like, you're old school, but yet he
I
doesn't do
I
it.
do, but
I know you do.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like it's the right thing. I mean, were you pleased with it? It's like, let
yeah.
other, and what it does is it let other buyers know that this is a reputable dealer.
Yes.
That's absolutely correct. And I can't stand that they took away the negative feedback option, because you have to jump through so many hoops to give negative feedback to a dealer. And even if you do get through all the hoops and you're able to leave it, the seller actually can appeal to have it removed.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, and then you got to wait 2 weeks and wait for Easter and Passover to go by, and that the full moon has happened, and
Yeah.
it's the first Saturday after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, I get the note back. I should be able to hammer the person right now.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah.
I haven't had that experience. I mean, very, very, very few
Yeah.
have I had that. I've very few negative experiences
Yeah.
with
Right.
eBay.
Right.
But the whole, I mean, I guess, I'm gonna just encourage Whatnot folks. I think the expectation is I should have a decent photo.
Yes.
You should be able to show that to me. And you know what? You can. It's just a lot of folks, and I get it. They don't want to take the time to do it. And maybe it's not worth it for $10 notes. I get that. But if you want to sell other things, they do have stores. So,
Yeah.
and it basic, and you can take good pictures and you can put the notes and sell them from your Whatnot store.
Right.
Or you can do pre-auction. So if you're going to do your normal auction of, notes on less than $50, which, let's be honest, that we see that a lot on Whatnot.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you want to see the upper grade ones, they have the ability that you can take a good picture, upload it to Whatnot, and say it's on preview for the next, I don't know what they call it, but for 5 days or whatever. This will be, I will have these notes coming up in auction. You can do that. I get that it takes a lot of time. But I'm just going to say, are you going to buy an appliance on Whatnot? Are you going to buy a car on Whatnot? What other things do you want to buy in that format with,
I think you're right. Like a dealer I was watching the other day, he whipped out a $3,000 porthole. And I'm like, who is going to buy that on Whatnot?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if it is graded, and we all know the
It
difference.
was graded, but still.
But even if it's like a 20, right, Dean? I mean, there's good looking 20s, there's bad looking 20s.
Right.
And that goes for every grade. I shouldn't just say 20.
Yeah, they are.
Even if it is graded, how is it got the eye appeal that you can find? And I can tell you, that's what I do. That's I wait.
Right.
Yep.
You can find it at a good price, a fair price.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think overall, though, Ontario, you're talking about price. Yeah, currency has gone up in price. It has been significant jump since COVID. That's a good thing.
That's good. Yeah.
It is a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's a strong hobby.
we're just worried about an inflated price.
Right. Right.
Well, it's just, I think the overall discussion we're having is just the evolution of the hobby right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not scary, but it definitely is different, and don't really know where it's going, and we don't really know what the market's going to do. And which I think that's everything, but still,
correct.
I hope that, these platforms will be, positive, and allow people to have more access to items. But to your point, Ontario, about, people just buying from the floor of a coin and currency show and then putting it up on Whatnot. Yeah, I hope that doesn't drive up prices, falsely in a way. But I will say I think why it won't is because and correct me if I'm wrong, because I guess I don't know, there's no real auction record from Whatnot. Is that correct? I've
No,
never
there's
seen
no-
it.
Correct.
So you really can't go back and be like, oh well, this 1957 silver certificate, $1 sold for $35 when it probably should have sold for two. You know that it's a false market, I guess you'd say.
Right.
But we don't get that false market because there's no record of it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And I don't mean this the way it might sound, but we've already really kind of touched on this a little bit. It's
Yeah.
kind of a different, I don't want to say different class, but just different inventory. Just like you said a moment ago, you don't see $3,000 notes on Whatnot. You really don't. And you shouldn't, probably. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was surprised he took it out. It was that same dealer that we were watching together.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
saw that.
it's a cool note, but I'm like, are you really going to get somebody on here that's going to pay that?
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
And that's not a put down either. It's just,
no.
You know, even Heritage puts items like that up for 30 days to get the right people in the
try
room.
to get a bid.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, guys, I don't mean to cut this too short, but let's wrap this up in the next couple of minutes because I don't want it to go too long.
Let me add a wrinkle to my final thought on the changing.
Right.
What we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's not enough of it.
Yeah.
Right.
You could say, oh, that's competition, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, competition's a good thing.
Yeah.
In the, currency YouTube video genre.
Right.
And, and I'm not talking, no offense to anybody who sits there and wants to watch somebody pull out a bunch of fancies and go through them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I use those to go to sleep when I have, sleep. But
good to know they don't go to waste.
What is that?
Right.
ASMR?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, when you're talking collecting, whether that, I get into the history more, we all have our little niches on that. And to my count, I don't, there's only like 12 currency and, that I subscribe to. I've subscribed to more than that, but there's only really 12 that is like Ontario's channel. That's like For Collectors and Stu Plubeck and Big Apple to a certain degree. He's got all those stupid coins.
Hey, I shameless plug here. Starting next week.
Yes, God, yeah.
Starting next week, Currency Highlights begins again.
Thank you.
So you'll enjoy that, Dan.
Oh,
it's error notes your favorite.
Well, I even that, but you're not just saying, "Hey, it's worth this much money," and you're not saying it's a mini ladder note. It's real stuff,
right?
I mean, but I encourage people, and there has been a few people as of late coming up. And Ontario, you put it out, and I'm gonna do this. It's gonna take a couple videos. Just show your collection. Do it a la Tyler from Currency Relic style.
Correct.
Here it is, 40-minute video going through my book.
That's right.
And put that challenge out. If you're gonna post only one, do that.
I said, let's see, what was that? Hide your face, not your collection. That's it.
Yeah.
Hide your face if you want to. If you're not comfortable showing.
Yeah, you don't have to
show mine.
Just don't talk too much with your hands, because talking hands gets really irritating fast.
Right.
But anyway, so I mean that's where it's like, I get that we're a niche market, on YouTube, and that not everybody's cup of tea, and we also we talk pricing and grading, but it's like that's a tertiary subject to us. Right. It's when we're buying, sure, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I'll overpay for a note if that's I can find it. I can't find it.
If you need it for your collection, yeah.
I love it
because you might not see it again.
Right. That's
right.
All right, guys. I thank you again for being here. I always appreciate your time, and I always enjoy our conversations.
Yeah.
I'd like to also thank everyone for putting up with us again tonight and listening to all this. And please like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for stopping by. Good night, everybody.
Good night.